Wednesday's Braves game postponed. Day-night doubleheader Thursday, 1:05 and 6:45 p.m. scheduled first pitches. The nightcap includes a doozy of a pitching matchup. Former Cy Young winner Chris Sale versus local guy Zach Wheeler. Welcome to episode 197 of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is my fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer, and your PA voice of the Rome Emperors, my co-host, Larry Gardner. You can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and of course, Apple and Spotify. Please leave a like, a comment, a thumbs up. Do whatever you can to support. At JJ Get You One for my personal X, at RWY Junior for Wayne, at LG for Real Though for Larry Garner, and at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, who is out with family this evening. I want to shout out Charlie Woods, son of Tiger, won his first AJGA event. Say that 10 times fast, shooting a 6 under 66 in his final round at the Steam Song Resort Black Course in Florida. What's on tap for today's show? Gavin Booker, your play-by-play voice for the Rome Emperors. We go around the horn in Major League Baseball, and we finish up talking the NBA Conference Finals. And without further ado, joining us this evening is Gavin Booker, the media and broadcast relations for the Rome Emperors. Gavin, thanks for coming on. The Braves' first-round draft pick, right-handed pitcher Owen Murphy, is currently on the 60-day IL. What's the latest on Murphy?
Horacio Ramirez, our pitching coach, here about him just a few weeks ago. He's in really good spirits. He's just hanging out in the complex league, going through his throwing program, coming back off of Tommy John. He is on the 60-day IL, but he's still just a young kid. He's a guy that we took out of high school with the 20th pick. And so he's got some years before he's expected and inspected in Atlanta. So I think he's a guy that we'll probably see maybe for a start or two at the tail end of the year. I do expect him to be on a really strict pitch count when he does come back. But I do think he'll be a difference maker here. In 26, I definitely think he'll probably start here. He may make a rehab start or two in the complex league, but I do think that he's an emperor in 26, and I think that they'll ramp him back up in spring training of next year.
Yeah, looking forward to it. He was a highly touted guy out of high school. Really good fastball, high grade on that fastball, according to all scouts. So been paying attention to Owen. Larry, go ahead, man.
No, you're good, Gavin. We chat all the time, man, and we've seen kind of the routine that Double A does when it comes to pitching here in Rome. The ones that stick around don't stick around long. You look at the Drew Hackenbergs and the Spencer Swellenbachs, and they get gone real quick. He's done it again this year with J.R. Ritchie, with Diddy Fuentes, and most recently, of course, Britt Sears. Talk about those guys and how their track up to the show, or their potential track up to the show, is heading, and just how awesome they look while they were in Emperor's uniforms.
Yeah, Larry, I think the big thing with guys like Owen Murphy, I'll use Owen Murphy and Schwellenbach as two examples, and really AJ Smith-Shawver. What Atlanta looks for if they're going after, in the case of Murphy and AJ, high school arms, in the case of Spencer, a college arm, they're looking for athletes. And if there's one thing that I took away from those, behind the Braves little segments that they did in spring training, is that Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach in Atlanta, they want their guys to just be athletic. They don't care. They're sure they're looking at mechanical things. Sure, they're looking at, statistics and numbers and everything like that in this day and age, but they're recruiting and drafting athletes. Owen Murphy was a two-way athlete, played the field and pitched in high school. AJ Smith-Shawver played football, committed to Texas Tech as a quarterback, really only picked up baseball before his junior year. And then Schwellenbach, John Olerud, award finalist. These guys are athletes, and you can tell when they get here. Another guy here, Adam Meyer, two-way guy. They're just athletes, and they hold themselves really well. And yeah, they have good fastballs. Sure. A lot of guys have good fastballs. The thing that has impressed me even with the start that we saw today from Sennard, who just got called up from high A or from low A Augusta, was we've got 2 6'8" guys on the roster, Garrett Bauman and now Sennard, 2 6'8" guys that fill up the zone. And that's not always the case with guys 6'5", 6'6", and above with lively fastballs sitting mid to upper 90s, especially Bauman. I mean, Bauman's touched triple digits a lot. Usually the control is the last thing to come around, right? Like usually with those guys, you're begging them to go out and give you 50% strikes. But they're athletes, so they're filling up the zone. 2 out of 3 pitches is a strike, and it works for them, and it works for the Braves. And every year, Larry, it's like this year it's JR. Last year it was Spencer. Year before that it was AJ. They're every year it's somebody. And but at the same time, there are some guys who don't make it to the big leagues as fast, like you mentioned, like a Lucas Braun or a Drew Hackenberg. Guys like that who are taking their time and a little bit more methodical about it, and they're pitching just as well. Hurston Waldrop got his shot last year. From everything that I've seen, he's turned it around in Gwinnett over the past 2 or 3 starts that he has had. So I think he was supposed to throw. I'm interested to see. I think he was supposed to throw tonight in that doubleheader. He was going to throw game 1 for the Stripers. So that's just what I see, with these arms. Majority right-handers. Caminiti is the exception, and so we'll look forward to seeing him. But majority right-handers who are athletes and they like strikes. That's what I see.
You're listening to Gavin Booker right here on ATL Prime Sports. You can catch Gavin on X at Gavin Booker PXP. Basically, play-by-play, folks. You mentioned Caminiti. One of my favorite random Braves of all time is his distant cousin Ken, excuse me. He can touch 98 as baseball in his family, as I just mentioned. When can we expect to see the second Caminiti in a Braves uniform?
Yeah.
Maybe 27, 28, or
to be honest with you, JJ, I could see him if everything goes well, I could see him as early as the end of this year. I know that he's another high school arm, but if he puts the starts in, and if he makes 10, 12 starts and looks good and he's got 2 or 3 pitches that he can lean on, then, they don't mind. If we learned anything over the last few years is they don't mind having an 18, 19-year-old in high A. And they also don't mind having an 18, 19 or 20-year-old in double A. So,
nope.
So the Braves don't mind. Pitching is pitching and your stuff is your stuff. And so I think, I'm not sure what his third or fourth pitches are. I haven't really gotten to watch him a whole lot. But if he can, develop those in the complex league and like I said, log, dozen starts and look good, and they feel comfortable with him coming up to high A, I could see him as early as this year. But I do think that he's another guy that we'll see here more than likely in 26 for 15, 20 starts.
Yeah, he looks really good. I really loved his his distant cousin, and watching him play the hot corner. And he had a great season in '98, killed the Braves in that LCS. So I'll always remember the Caminetis. Want to touch on that Bauman prospect, 6'8". Golly, call him the big unit 2.0. You got Sennard down there. Kuehler, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I haven't gotten a chance to pronounce his name too many times. But which prospect has stood out to you down there that's there right now? You mentioned all the athletes. Schwellenbach was a shortstop at Nebraska for a while, so they like to find them. And you mentioned it, but what stood out to you out of those Bauman, Sennard, Kuehler, those guys down there in A-ball?
Yeah, so so far I think our two more intriguing guys have already moved up. I think the guy like JR and Sears, Sears is another Nebraska guy. They've already moved up. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Sears back here at some point. I kind of got the feeling that they were moving him up for just a start or two to kind of fill a void there, but I could be wrong about that. But with Bauman and now Sennard, again, the height is everything. The pitching downhill and the velo. Sennard today was 93, 94. I think, Larry, I think you could back me up on that. 93, 94. He's got a mid-80s slider, kind of more so like a cutter. that he can use to get outs. I think he punched out 5 today, struck out the last 2 guys that he saw in the 6th inning. So, those 2 guys are just so projectable. They're just the height is everything. The strikes are everything with them. Bauman, it's nothing for him to roll out there. I think he had a start at the beginning of the year where I think he was through like 40 pitches and he had like 29, 30 strikes, something like that. And so that's not uncommon for him. It makes you wonder sometimes, is it almost too many in the zone? You want him to kind of be effectively wild a little bit some of the time. And so I don't want him to get too predictable with his stuff. But, Bauman's not even 20 years old. So he's he's got a long way to go. I think he's a guy that if the roster spots allows, I think he'll finish the year here, and then he'll kind of take it methodically, and he may start the year in Double-A next year. But yeah, just Didier started the year here. He's in Double-A. They've kind of stripped us of some of these guys already, and it's not even the halfway point in the year, which is it does stink a little bit. I'd like to watch these guys and see what they can do, especially a guy like JR. I'd like to see what he can do over a full course of 132 games and how good he can be by the end of the year. But another name to watch, guys, is Adam Meyer. A guy who had his college career cut short. Is kind of in that COVID area in college, and actually had Tommy John. And then now he was kind of a big question mark, but now he's really healthy. The spin rate and the stuff is there for him, and so I think now we're really going to see him settle in. I think he's going to be this club's ace, kind of moving forward. He's got more innings than anybody on the roster right now. He's seen more starts than anybody on the roster right now. So it should be Meyer and then Herrick Hernandez, a draft pick from last year, and Bauman. Those should be your top 3 leading this rotation the rest of the summer. And I don't see them moving anywhere. Obviously, the trade deadline is coming. If there's one thing we know is that we got a lot of arms. So I see them sticking to Rome, or I see them pitching for another organization real soon.
Larry's muted.
Microphone, Larry.
Oh, my bad. Good guy. Now, I thought I had to hit it the first time. I clicked it and it didn't go. My bad.
You're
Gavin, we got, it seems like the Atlanta Braves organizations has arms upon arms upon arms to choose from, whether it's in AAA, AA, high A, and even low A. Talk about some of the position players that people don't necessarily know of. We get to see the likes of the Lysandre Espinosas. We get to see the Clohisses and the Dimitrus and the Expositos that we get to see every day that we know. And you and I kind of joined the organization at the same time. So we've seen the Nachos come through. We've seen the Drake Baldwins come through. Columbus is reaping the benefit of having Kilpatrick on the squad again now this year. So talk about some of the position players that maybe a lot of the fans don't know, that we've had the pleasure and privilege of being able to watch their trek to the show, and then some that look like they may have the potential to be on that same trek all the way to the show as well, whether you've seen them in A-ball, AA, or in AAA.
I'll say one name, and I think you'll agree. One name is Ethan Workinger. Ethan Workinger, AA, JUCO guy, JUCO bandit, can flat out swing it. Could have gone and played at any Power 5 school that he wanted to out of California. He's sitting in AA right now. Unfortunately, Atlanta's got a couple really good outfielders on the roster. That guy, in his bat, he had 3 home runs in a game, I believe, earlier this year, 3 home runs in a game. I'm not sure what he's hitting right now. He's probably, if I had to guess, in the 260s, 270s, and just a grinder and average defense, I'd say, but he makes up for it with his bat. But man, Ethan Workinger is the guy that immediately comes to mind when we talk position players. You said a couple names, Drake Baldwin. Obviously, he's performing really well. He's having a stellar month of May, probably a historical month of May. And then Nacho, he's still in AAA right now. I don't think that was the correct time for him. He came up and did a job for Atlanta at the time, which is what they needed. But you continue to look down the ranks of the minor leagues, and for an organization like you said, Larry, that's known for drafting pitchers, they have really good luck, if you want to call it luck, with these guys that they get, positionally, that are really good and can really swing it. Clohisi, in the later rounds, who's doing a fantastic job here, hitting over 250. He swiped 28 bags so far. He stole 3 today. On pace to shatter, to completely destroy our single season stolen base record this year. Lisandro Espinosa, a guy in the Rule 5 draft who can play short, he can play center field. You don't see that too often. Usually they're either really good at one and not so great at the other, but we've seen him play a good center field and a good shortstop and hit leadoff. He swiped double digit bases this year. He was hitting 240, but he's got the most at bats on the team. He's hit for power. He's got the most bombs on the team. He's got 6, and so those guys like that, man, just really intrigue me, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with some of those guys. Cause like I said, the position player wise, the Braves are pretty set right now. Maybe could use a shortstop. But other than that, that's really it. That's really the only opening. So it'll be interesting to see if the Braves choose to, raise their stock a little bit, and get those guys to Double-A now, so that, come deadline time, they're not looking at 150 high A at bats. They're looking at 100 high A bats and 100 Double-A at bats. And, that's a little bit more enticing for teams in the market. For position depth in the minor leagues. So, I think those are the big names that come to mind. Keyshawn Ogans, another guy, another grinder, that was a Rome Brave in 23, in Double-A now, has been there for a few seasons. Really liked what I saw from him when he was with us in 23. Just going down our roster right now, Will Verdung had 3 hits today. No homers on the year, but 3 hits. He's got the average over 300. That's top 10 in the South Atlantic League right now. Those are the guys, that have stuck out to me and have been a joy to be around here and watch play.
And the thing about it is that you said it, and we all say it a lot of times on social media when fans are arguing about why Atlanta doesn't make major moves at the big club. I mean, you look at it with the exception of left field, short, everybody else is set and has been for a while. So it's like the glass ceiling. What can you do? And I think the ultimate thing is really probably going to happen sooner rather than later is Double-A is going to probably have to package a lot of those guys together to make a trade to improve the big club at those spots if you're going to turn your season around. Share your thoughts on that, but Gav, and what do you foresee with the way the farm system is looking and knowing what the parent club team looks like already?
Yeah, I mean, it's a logjam. We've seen that here with guys like Bryson Horn and Tyler Tolvey beginning the year here, and Tolvey was he was here before our time, Larry. He was a 2022 Rome Brave, and it spent the last 3 years in Double-A. Horn was in Mississippi last year, the old Double-A, but I think you're exactly right. I think if you see guys move up, to Double-A, because that's kind of the launching pad, and you see them and you kind of, tilt your head sideways, wondering why that particular move was made. It's because they're trying to get their stock up. They're trying to get these guys out of the lower ranks, get them into Double-A, get them into AAA. And so that's more enticing for teams when it comes deadline time. I think you're right. They're going to have to package some guys up. If you look at the pitching talent, the way it sits right now, with Hurston, even with a guy like AJ, although he's performed really well, I could see him packaged up at some point. That would break my heart because I feel like we've watched him from a baby, go through the system and make it and work through the kinks and go back to AAA and get it straight and get back to the big leagues. And now he's kind of flourishing. But you're going to have to, these arms are going to have to go. And these signings that, they continue to bring Jesse Chavez back aboard in AAA, and guys like David Fletcher and James McCann. And you look at that AAA lineup, and it's almost like it's unrecognizable, who's starting there every night. It's a few names, that have come through Rome, but a lot of those guys weren't even Rome Braves or Rome Emperors at any one point. They're now quadruple A guys who have been picked up off waivers, and they're sitting in Gwinnett. And so I just wonder, how long they'll continue to keep these guys in Double A that are doing so well. But yeah, I agree. I think you could see a 3-for-1, 4-for-1, 5-for-1 type trade at some point. You could see multiple, of those trades to fill those needs, in left field. And like you said, in that shortstop, I personally, I think the shortstop is the position that I think we see them fill first. Just with, I can live with Verdugo a little bit in left. I can live with him. I think he's going to start hitting for power here soon. I think he's just now kind of getting comfortable. I don't think he's a leadoff guy. I don't think that they needed him to lead off. They did for a few games, but I think you tuck him away in the 6-7 hole, and just let him get his at bats. And I think he's going to be fine. And obviously with Ronnie, coming back, and I think the shortstop is the more glaring need right now. And I think Nick Allen does a lot of good things, but at the same time, I think if you're going to have an elite team and you're going to be a team that's making it to an NLCS, then you got to have a good shortstop. You have to have an elite defender, and you got to have somebody who can come in and hit 25 bombs. Nick Allen's not doing that. I don't think he doesn't have a bomb this year. So, I think you need an elite shortstop. You need an elite center fielder. I think that's what makes baseball teams good, and you need to have an elite staff. And so I think you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head, Larry. Some of these guys are going to go. It's going to be sad, but chances are it's good for them. It's good for them to go to a place. I don't know, like a Colorado or a Las Vegas or an Arizona or somewhere like that, where they're not as deep at the big league level. And so that's where their chance is going to come. I mean, look at the closer for Colorado right now. He would have never made it out of Rome, right? He would have never made it out of Gwinnett, but he's there pumping 101, 102 every night and picking up saves for the Rockies. So.
Yeah, it's I hated to see him go, but he's having a good career out there in Denver, and it's hard to pitch out there. So you pitch out there, you're going to make yourself a lot of money.
Yes, sir.
A lot of money. Ask Mike Hampton that question.
Yep.
You pitch well in Denver, you get paid, and then you start like 7 games for the Braves. No, I'm just teasing. I'll end it on this, Gavin. We won't keep you too much longer, but I think Kimbrel's been doing pretty well in his rehab stint. What do you think if the Braves give him a call up? I mean, Iggy's struggling, the bullpen's struggling in general. Your thoughts on Craig Kimbrel? I figured we'd get him in there.
I haven't gotten a chance to watch him pitch. I'd love to go watch him pitch in person there. Just because that intimate environment and get, up close with him. But if you're going to take a chance on him and you're going to use a AAA spot for him, then I think you owe it to yourself to slide him into the bullpen and just try it out.
100%.
You're right. Iggy's hit or miss. It seems like Iggy's always this way, kind of around this point. But then Iggy figures it out eventually, and then Iggy's good. And so I don't want to bring Kimbrel up and then that deteriorate Iggy's, aura, if you will, of being of having some, blowing some saves, but then coming back and being like, okay, I'm still Iggy. And I'm still gonna, get this team 25 saves this year or something like that, but I think you owe it. I think you owe it to yourselves. I think you owe it to the fan base, just to put them in Atlanta, and kind of see what happens. It's a guy like that, JJ, that, you bring them in and you put them on the big league roster, and special things could happen because that's just baseball, right? That's just the way it goes.
100%.
That's just the way it goes, regardless of how good he is in Gwinnett or how good he was in Baltimore or anything like that. You put Craig Kimbrell, a future Hall of Famer, back in Atlanta, and you let him see what the baseball gods do with him. You take that chance. You take that chance. And if it works, it works. And who knows? Maybe this team catches a New York Mets type heater with a guy like like we saw last year with Iglesias. And
Yeah.
and next thing you know, you're making a deep postseason run, and maybe he's out there, throwing meaningful innings. So I think he gets a chance. I do. I haven't kept up with his numbers, what he's done in Gwinnett so far, but yeah, I think he gets a chance, and I don't think it's a bad call at all to bring him up. And if he struggles, and he struggles, you DFA him. What are we talking about here? You're talking about a guy who's at the end of his career. We've had no issue doing that with Orlando Arcia. We've had no issue doing that. And he's off to greener pastures in Colorado. So it's, I think we see it, and I think it's not a bad idea to see what kind of mojo and just what he could do for the Atlanta ball club and the Atlanta fan base too.
100%. And I think your Braves all-time saves leader deserves one more shot at it. And if not, give Iggy a break. Every third day, the Braves have had a lot of one-run games. Iggy's gotten a lot of use, 2 days in a row. You give Kimbrell the third day, something like that. I agree. Well, Gavin, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Tell our listeners how they can catch your call of the Rome Emperors, and anything else you want to shout out real quick, man.
Yeah, man. So we are live each and every game on Bally Sports Live on the app. It's free there, and we're in the middle of a homestand right now. We'll be on the air. Let's see. I lose count of the days so easily when we're in these homestands, Larry. But tomorrow's Thursday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be 7 p.m. first pitches, and our pregame show usually starts around 15 minutes prior to first pitch. And then we have a 1 p.m. game on Sunday, but we're not even to the halfway mark in our season. A lot of people forget we play 132 games at the high A level too, which is only 30 less than the big leagues. So a lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, "Oh, really? Y'all play for 6 months?" I'm like, "Yeah, we do. We play for 6 months." But yeah, Bally Sports Live app, free on there. If you're an MLB TV subscriber, you can get all of our games on there for free as well. And so yeah, catch us on there. If you don't have either of those, then just type in "listen live to the Rome Emperors" in your web browser. It'll be the first thing that pops up, and that's an audio only stream, however. But type that in and tune in. We'd love to have you.
Well, absolutely. We enjoyed having you, Gavin Booker. Again, you can catch him on X at Gavin Booker PXP. Gavin, thanks again for joining us, man. We'll have you on real soon.
Hey, it's a pleasure, fellas. Anytime. Hit me up. I'll be more than happy to get on here and talk some baseball. Great time.
Enjoyed it. And go Emperors.
Yeah, go Imps. Go Imps. Come on.
All right.
That's right. Gavin Booker, one more time, play-by-play voice of your Rome Emperors. Thanks again, Gavin. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
From minor league baseball to Major League Baseball, we go to the Atlanta Braves, who've lost 5 out of their last 6 games, folks. Not looking good. Have dropped to 3 games under 500. Back to full strength, though, with Acuna Jr. and Strider back. Larry, where will this team finish, man? I'm a little worried. I'm kind of biting my nails now. I don't know what to expect. I've ups, downs, lefts, rights. This team's all over the place. Michael Harris isn't doing too well, but he's leading the team in RBIs. It's just it's been an odd season. Your thoughts on the Atlanta Braves and where they finish?
Yeah, the whole year's been extremely awkward. But it kind of goes back to the conversation we were having with Gavin. I think this is the first year that AA is going to have to make a move that's going to be a little bigger than what he's typically used to making to be able to help stabilize, I guess that's a good word, this season. And the reason being is because nobody will admit it, But routine is a big thing in baseball. And the routines that were broken when Ron Washington and Eric Young Jr. left, they have yet to find the people to fill those voids, to create those same routines that make Atlanta the disciplined team they were, that made them focused enough to continue to be the winning team that we've seen since the World Series scene. You've got Austin Riley making unconventional errors and want to blame it on the grounds crew. Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a major league park look anything other than pristine manicure when it comes to the grass, the dirt, the field itself. So it's up here in his head. Michael, I don't know if I've ever seen Michael look as lost as I've seen him look probably over the last 30 days. I've never seen him look like that. You know, thank goodness that Ronnie and Spencer are back. But until the key word that Atlanta needs to get is some consistency, because their season, not just in their performance with the win-loss record, but their performance overall, hitting, pitching, fielding, it's literally been an EKG. It's literally, you know, and if you, and especially with Philadelphia and New York, you can't afford to be an EKG, because you can go 2-3 series and lose, and the next thing you know, you're sitting where you were to begin the season again. And with as many good teams as there are in the NL, you're not even guaranteed to get a wild card spot. So if you're going to steer the ship and correct it, now's the time to do it. And if it, to our point that we spoke about earlier, if it costs you some promising prospects, those are sometimes some of the decisions that you have to make in order to improve your overall, the mantra of your ball club. Because right now, the morale is low. Fans are disappointed. They're fans who have been speaking positivity from the jump, even after an 0-7 start, are now starting to worry. You know, they're starting to see the little negativity eke in. So obviously, people who have been Braves fans for a long time, they know there's a problem. The diagnosis, though, is not going to be a quick fix. It's going to take time. You know, you can't expect, you got pitchers out there that are getting you 3 runs, 4 runs, which is usually, in Braves talk, an easy thing to be able to win with, but you can't produce any offense, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. I am starting to think the Ron Washington, Eric Young effect, them leaving. Immediately, you saw Eli White with the base running error. Eric Young, the base running coach. You've seen the errors. You mentioned it. Ron Washington. I don't know where to begin, but they gotta get better with running and scoring position. They're terrible. 246 team average right now. The last 4 losses, they batted 222 with runners in scoring position. My numbers right here: 5 for 12. Really great in a 7-1 win over San Diego. But again, in those 4 losses, 4 for 18, and again, a 222 average there. So they got to figure out a way to just put the ball in play and get those runners over. I saw some sacrifice bunts the other day. That's what this team's going to have to do. They're not going to be able to rely on the home run, because 2023, that Atlanta Braves team where they hit 300 and whatever home runs, they're not walking back in the door anytime soon. So I'm not sure what this team needs. Maybe Bo Bichette is the answer. Maybe you get a power hitting shortstop, and he adds some more protection in that lineup. I'm just not sure. But right now, there's so many glaring holes in this lineup. You don't even know where to begin. So you just start asking questions. Is it here? Is it there? Is it the bullpen issue? But like you said, pitching hasn't been too terribly bad. Schwellenbach pitched a great game against San Diego the other day, had 2 bad pitches and cost him 3 runs, and then bada bing, bada boom, you lose 5-3. So the run support just isn't there. The runners with scoring hitting with runners in scoring position, clutch hitting, whichever way you want to call it, it's just not there. I see a trade happening, and Gavin mentioned it. You may see a 4 or 5 things for some superstar, because this team's going to need something to bring them out. Maybe it's a Jock Peterson type guy, the locker room guy, 680 the fan. The guys were talking. Who's the leader on this team, Larry? Is anybody in your eyes stepping up as the leader of this team, like a Freddie Freeman or a Dansby Swanson did in the 2021 team? Because I don't know if I see that.
No, there's not a definitive leader there. The problem with the Braves that has been their calling card for so long is the way they conduct themselves like businessmen. But the problem is if you conduct yourself as a business person and you run into an issue where you need a vocal spokesperson, you don't have that organically. And Spencer Strider is trying to fill that role, but it's a whole lot easier to do when it's a position player that's swinging the bat. Hey, and unfortunately, right now, one has the wherewithal to be on a professional level to assume that role and like be the person that drives the bus, so to speak. You know, everybody's expecting Ronnie to do that with his performance, but your bat can only do so much. Every now and then, you've got to have the vocal leader on the team that tells the guys, listen, closed door players only meet, guys, we suck. All right. And this is not acceptable in an Atlanta Braves uniform. This is not the standard of this organization. Guys, this is not what we do day in and day out over 162. Get your heads out, you know what? So let's play some ball. And we got to get it. We got to turn it around. All right. And hold people accountable with it too. And that's the problem, I think, on the second level, is that nobody holds anybody else accountable. I know that they're all millionaires and they all and that's it, but knowing them personally, it's literally they all want it bad, and you can see in their expressions because you're seeing frustrations appear outwardly that you didn't see before. So you know they want it. So it's not a matter of effort. It's a matter of what are we going to have to work through to get to the level that we want to get back to the standard that this organization has set for decades.
Yeah, it's nuts. You and I talked about it last year. I thought Dansby Swanson would have been that guy to sign and little overpay for him just because he's the local guy, vocal guy as well. And didn't happen, obviously. But, you know, they need someone walking in those doors. Austin Riley doesn't seem like the vocal leader type guy. I think he could take a step in that direction. Jared Kelnick tried, but I don't think his performance on the field really brings the weight of a leadership role. So there's just lots of things that Orlando Arcia type guy, you know, locker room guy, but not good enough on the field to carry any weight with, like you said, hey, we're sucking right now. They need a Bobby Cox used to be that guy, and Brian Snicker, he's rallied this team before, so I'm hoping he can do it again. Have a closed door meeting and get the best again. No more excuses. Acuna's back, Strider's back. Sales pitching pretty good. Schwellenbach's there, so the pitching is there. You just got to start scoring runs and figuring out a way to do it. Wayne, any thoughts on this this Braves team, or should we just go around the horn in MLB and talk about some Rangers right quick?
No, man, the Rangers in Atlanta are kind of in a similar boat. Rangers have trouble winning series. You know, they want to split series or they want to, you know, lose a series to somebody. But I think both teams are just under 500 and what, 3 in their respective divisions.
Yeah, it's like they're cousins right now.
Yeah, right.
They both only have they have the exact same road record. 9 wins, 18 losses for the Rangers. The Braves 9-19, and they're both really good at home. So they're very, very close in terms of what this team looks like on paper. Phillies 9.5 up on the Braves, 2 up on the Mets in the NL East. Cubs, they're up by 3 on the Cardinals, 6 on the Brew Crew, 6.5 on the Reds. That division's actually getting pretty close. The NL West, the Dodgers up 2 on the Padres, up 3 on the Giants, only up 7 on the D-backs, and then everybody's lucky in the NL West to get to play the Rockies. AL East, Your Yankees are up 6.5 games on the Rays. They're kind of starting to pull away a little bit in that division. The Tigers, best team in baseball, 6 games up on the Guardians and the Twins. And then the Mariners are up 1 game on the Astros and only 4.5 up on your Rangers, Wayne. So they're not in as bad shape as the Braves are yet. They're not that extra 5 games back in their division that the Rangers are. So I would hold tight. I think, again, when Corey Seager comes back and this team, hopefully Jock Peterson can start hitting for them in certain situations. And we'll see what happens with the Rangers, Wayne, but I'll definitely be keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, we as well.
All right, guys, any final thoughts on Major League Baseball? I wanted to get a little take from Wayne there, Larry.
No, man, I'm great. It's good to hear about it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the NBA playoffs, conference finals. We dwindled down both series at 3 games to 1. Let's see, what is it? Who tips off just now? Is it the Western Conference or Eastern Conference is tipping tonight?
Yeah, Minnesota, Oklahoma City.
Yep, Western Conference. Excuse me, I lost it in my notes there. So yeah, both the West, Larry, bunch of blowouts. Only 1 game decided by single digits. Everything else a 15+ point blowout, including that 41 or 42 point win by the Wolves in Game 3. Any chance you see Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man, and these Wolves, Karl Anthony Towns, and so get back into it, or no?
No, I think unfortunately you live by the 3 and you die by the 3, and that's been Minnesota's claim to fame all season long. And when you shoot 40 to 50 of them a game and you only hit 20, that doesn't do you any good when you're playing against the team that led the NBA in halves for the last 3 years on the most drives to the basket. It's really a common sense approach when you look at it. The closer you get, the more likely you are to make a basket. And I guarantee you, if I shoot 52 pointers and you shoot 53 pointers, I'm going to make a whole lot closer to 3. I'm going to make more 2-pointers than you make 3-pointers. And what happens is that lead starts to widen out. And then they get in desperation mode thinking you got to go for 3 for 2, but then you just really are increasing the lead, especially when you're dealing with the MVP, who is nicknamed the foul merchant, who has made a living going to the free throw line. So unfortunately, Oklahoma City has played phenomenal defense this entire series. They have neutralized anything that Rudy Gobert could potentially do. Julius Randle has had some good halves, but he has yet to put 2 good halves of basketball together in the series. Mike Conley is still Mike Conley. He's older. He's not the Mike Conley that we used to seeing back in the Memphis days, son, and even some in the Utah days. He's aging. Everybody's expecting Ant-Man to put the whole team on his shoulders and carry him. But unfortunately, they just don't have the horses to do it. Not when you're dealing with the likes of SGA and Caruso and Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren and the Jalen Williams and Williams again. And they just continue to just bring driver after driver. They are slashers. They are attackers, and they are going to attack the basket. And so far for them, it has worked, except for 1 game when the shots just weren't falling at all in the mid-range, which they love to be able to drive and kick. So as much as I enjoy watching Ant-Man in his game, Oklahoma City's number 1, they're too deep. And number 2, they're so well coached and they're so well disciplined. And it would not surprise me at all to see them take the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of this year.
Yeah, I picked OKC going in. I think SGA, the MVP's proved it. He's led these he's the leading scorer in the playoffs. Who's left out of the top 5 going into this thing? And look, the Thunder are up 23-7 as we speak in the first quarter, which is unbelievable. Chet Holmgren, big part of that, averaging nearly 2 blocks a night defensively. So yeah, OKC's done it on both sides of the ball, and really they're playing unbelievably defense as you see right now, holding Minnesota as we speak to 17.6% from the field, which is unheard of. 3 of 17 from the field as they currently sit. Unbelievable. That's just a live quick update. But yeah, it looks like this series is well in hand for OKC, and same thing in the East. The Pacers are up 3-1 on the Knicks. They're looking for their first finals appearance since Reggie Miller lost to Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal in 2000. And Game 5, Thursday night on TNT in Madison Square Garden. New York's a 4.5-point favorite going into Game 5. But this is this opposite series. This has been extremely close in every game. Every game decided by single digits or less, 9 points or less. And you saw the overtime thriller in Game 1. That's probably been the best game of the postseason, honestly, in a couple of years. So this is a completely different flavor on the East side. And I think if the Knicks get tonight, they have a slight chance. But I don't see them winning this series. I mean, 3-1. Is LeBron the only one that's ever come back from 3-1 in a playoff series? Am I right about that? Or has there other been
in an NBA final? Yes. Yeah.
So okay. It has happened.
But yeah, two that I can think of off the top of my head in a Western Conference or an NBA final. But yep, I think that goes to the king, LeBron James.
Yeah, man, that was a great series. That Golden State Cleveland series, the chase down block, that was fun to watch. But yeah, conference finals dwindling down. Looks like it's going to be Pacers. Looks like it's going to be the Thunder. Breath of fresh air in the finals, fellas. First time ever for the Thunder. First time in 25 years for the Indiana Pacers. So this will be a fun finals to check out, and I can't wait. As I mentioned to Gavin pre-show, I am a Pacers fan. First team I ever was on. The Pacers at 5 years old did not score a bucket, but I was number 31, baby.
Awesome.
Wayne, what are your thoughts on the NBA postseason, man, as a Memphis Grizzly fan?
Well, honestly, I don't really like any of these teams, or I don't follow any of them. But the one that I would like to see win the whole thing would be Indiana. So I'm just going to ride with them and hope for the best.
I think a lot of people are following that Halliburton story with his dad, and he's been allowed back in the building. That's been fun to keep up with as well. Larry, any final thoughts on the NBA? Well, pretty much finals now.
Well, I tell you what, I think a lot of people don't take into consideration, and I want to give this man his flowers. Rick Carlisle is an amazing coach. I mean, he's an amazing coach. To think about what he's done, even from his Dallas days, even to what he's done with this Indiana team, the way the moves that he in the front office, and notice that was a Larry Bird hire. Larry Bird wanted him on the bench to put the pieces together, to make the trade with Sacramento to get Halliburton, to make the trades with Toronto to get Siakam, drafting Miles Turner. You're getting all of these different pieces and putting them together. And what Indiana has done, and you can take a page out of Oklahoma City's book as well. What they have done is shown you how to organically build a championship contender without having to have the super team. And if you want a blueprint to follow that you can use over time, because Oklahoma City is going to be a contender for years to come. Sam Presti has draft picks out the wazoo. He's got first round picks for about the next 10 years that he could use to really flip flop and bring a superstar in if he wanted to complement SGA. Indiana's in the same boat. Most of their good players are under rookie contracts. So you got financial flexibility. This is not just going to be one of these fluke shows where you see Indiana pop up and OKC pop up. These teams are going to be in the running for years to come. So, and I'm looking forward to it. It is a good breath of fresh air.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that because it slipped my mind. Yes, the draft picks these teams have combined, especially the first round over, like you said, the next 8 to 10 years is pretty nuts. So that's how you build teams. You don't have to do it. Like you said, you don't got to do the super team. Atlanta, listen up. Hello. We're trying to hoist a Larry O'Brien over here. Get somebody that can play with Trae Young already. Let's find it. Let's make it happen. Well, folks, that wraps up our NBA playoff talk. Let's go to our final thoughts. Wayne, been silent. Silence no more. Your final thought. Start us off, buddy.
Well, I'm going to actually do two final thoughts. One is a positive one. First, Spanish winner of the Indianapolis 500, Alex Pillow. The second one is kind of a bummer. I guess if you're the grounds crew guy at the Detroit Tigers, evidently got hurt, and they were over there tending to him, and he decides he's going to do the double bird or single bird or something to the cameras because he don't feel good. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Hopefully he'll apologize, and based on that apology, maybe he'll still have a job or something.
I hope he does too, because I'll be honest, you're a grounds crew guy. You're not used to being on camera. I've seen some stuff on Twitter saying supposedly his knee was displaced. They put it back in place, and they're just all on camera for the world to see. This lowly young grounds crew guy for the Detroit Tigers. I kind of feel for him a little bit. And I don't think he should lose his job because honestly, in that moment, you're just like, I'm just trying to get out of here. I don't want to be on TV. This is a low moment. I feel for him. I really hope nothing happens. Maybe a slap on the wrist because you definitely don't want to flip off your fans. But yeah, I feel for the guy. Larry, go ahead and give us your final thought, man, and I'll write us out.
No worries, man. I got a two-part final thought. One is about OTAs and the Atlanta Falcons, and notice that one individual was not in the building today by the name of Kirk Cousins. Rumors have flared up that since the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mr. One Aaron Rodgers haven't had the courtship that they thought, that Mr. Kirk, Captain Kirk himself, might be on the way to Steelville. Who knows? Would that be a good match for Kirk Cousins to finalize his career with one Mike Tomlin and the Steel Curtain? Just
Arthur
a couple
Smith.
of months away. Yeah, just a couple of months away from the NFL preseason. It don't even seem like it, man, but the saga continues to write itself and the story continues to write itself.
Yeah, it's less than 100 days from kickoff already. It's nuts. It's nuts. Time flies. Time flies. Well, my final thought for the evening, just like the NBA, the NHL sits at 3-1 in its conference finals, East and West. Florida up in the up on Carolina. In the East, Edmonton up on Dallas in the West, again 3-1. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals faces off right about now on TNT, and Game 5 in the West Thursday night on ESPN. And boy, has it been some really intense hockey this postseason. Whoever hoists that Stanley Cup will have fought hard for it, and it's been extremely fun to watch these playoffs, these postseasons, and it's one of the best times of the year. You got baseball, basketball, football, draft, football OTAs, and then obviously the hockey and basketball to throw in with it. So it's been absolutely fun. And Larry, did you have one more final thought, or?
Well, I kind of combined it to the one with Aaron Rodgers and the story with Pittsburgh not working out. Could it be that the Falcons are going to be lucky enough, and I hate to use the term lucky, but lucky enough to be able to get off of that contract before the season starts? You know, it would be a post-June 1 designation. June 1 is Sunday.
It gets the football mind going. It definitely does. I'm anxious to see what happens, as many people are in Steeler Nation, and a lot of people are down here. Well, folks, that wraps it up for Wayne in Memphis, Larry in Adairsville. I'm JJ Jurjevich right here in Lilburn, Georgia. This has been ATL Prime Sports. Again, if you like the content, please give us a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, whatever you got to do to give us that support. And we always follow back as well. Again, next week we'll see you. Go Braves, go Emperors. Get you one.